The Trump administration has paused all immigration applications, including green card and U.S. citizenship processing, filed by immigrants from 19 non-European countries, including Afghanistan and Somalia. According to an official memo, the new policy stems from the attack on U.S. National Guard members in Washington last week, in which an Afghan man was arrested as a suspect. Trump also stepped up his rhetoric against Somalis, disparaging the country and accusing Somali immigrants of not contributing to U.S. welfare.
I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you, okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries, too.
According to U.S. media reports, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, has been directed by the Trump administration to target undocumented Somali immigrants in Minneapolis, home to the largest Somali immigrant population in the U.S. Many of the migrants who moved from Somalia to the U.S. left in the 1990s during the country's decades-long civil war.
Serbia failed to secure a United States operating license for its Russian-owned oil refinery, forcing the facility to halt operations and threatening the country's fuel supply. The U.S. rejected Serbia's request to waive sanctions on the facility while its Russian owners look for buyers in their majority stake in the petroleum industry of Serbia, known as NIS. The news was announced by President Aleksandar Vučić on Tuesday, who noted that he was surprised by Washington's decision. NIS is 45% owned by Russian energy giant Gazprom, while the Serbian government only owns roughly 30%. The refinery covers most of Serbia's needs, and existing sanctions are already causing losses, amounting to more than €350,000 daily. Serbia has, however, taken the bold decision to secure payment transactions for NIS, a move that risks secondary U.S. sanctions on the country's central bank and commercial lenders.
Onog sekunda kada prestane platni promet sa NIS-om, a mi smo se danas dogovorili na svoj rizik, na rizik Republike Srbije, na rizik da nam i centralna banka bude pod sankcijama, na rizik da nam i banke poslovne budu pod sankcijama, da do kraja nedelje obezbedimo platni promet.
Vučić says interrupting NIS's payment systems would cause a huge catastrophe for Serbia's investment rating and the company. The country maintains sufficient fuel stocks to last until late January, but the president said logistical challenges lie ahead, with transport costs expected to soar. He also called the U.S.'s decision to reject Belgrade's request as politically motivated, saying Washington wants to send the message that it's not only the NIS under sanctions, but all of Serbia.
If Europe wants to wage a war against Russia, Moscow is ready, Russian President Vladimir Putin said on Tuesday, accusing Europe of not having a, quote, peaceful agenda.
Мы не собираемся воевать с Европой, я уже об этом 100 раз сказал. Но если Европа вдруг захочет с нами воевать и начнет, мы готовы прямо сейчас.
He accused Europe of sabotaging the U.S.-led peace efforts to end the war in Ukraine, reiterating the Kremlin's position to negotiate only with the U.S. administration and not allow European leaders at the table. His comments came ahead of peace negotiations with a U.S. delegation led by envoy Steve Witkoff and President Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner at the Kremlin. Putin also said the European demands regarding putting an end to Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine are unacceptable to Moscow, and that European governments live under the illusion of imposing a strategic defeat on Russia. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte brushed off concerns about the United States' commitment to the military alliance on the eve of a meeting of NATO foreign ministers focused on ending Russia's war against Ukraine that U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is set to miss. With the U.S. pushing for Europe to do more to take care of its own security, some have raised doubts about America's NATO leadership and the alliance's ability to deter Russian aggression. Rutte pinned Rubio's absence on a busy schedule and downplayed contentious parts of the Trump administration's 28-point peace proposal.
I think it is very good that the US has putting forward proposals. You need to start somewhere. You need to have proposals on the table. As you know, both in Geneva and 2 days ago in Miami, talks have been taking place with the Ukrainian side. Indeed, talks today with the Russian side. So we follow that closely, and I think it's really important that the US is leading these efforts, making sure that we do whatever we can to end this terrible war.
The Trump administration's draft plan to end the war suggested that NATO would not expand further, a long-time Russian demand, and that Ukraine would not be admitted, breaking with a years-long promise to Kyiv that it has a place at the organization's table.
Celebratory scenes outside Al Bayt Stadium on Monday night as Palestinian fans cheer their team's last-minute 1-0 victory over host Qatar on the opening day of the 2025 FIFA Arab Cup. More than 60,000 fans filled the stands on the first day of the tournament. 16 teams from across the Arab world will compete here in Qatar over the next 3 weeks. For Qatar's national side, this tournament is more than regional competition. It's an important part of their build-up to the 2026 World Cup. Organizers say interest is way up this year. More than 700,000 tickets sold, including over 210,000 to supporters flying in from abroad. Nearly 4,000 media applications have come in as Qatar hosts its second FIFA-run Arab Cup.
The success of the 2021 tournament. So that's why together with FIFA we decided that this should be hosted more often, and then we as Qatar applied to get it for the next 3 editions, so it's 25, 29, 33.
We are here to support each other. Arabs always support each other. Even though we are from Lebanon, we are here to support Palestine and Qatar. We love them both, we support both of them, and we congratulate Palestine.
Earlier on Monday, Syria also kicked off their campaign with a 1-0 victory over Tunisia, another team headed to next year's World Cup. The Arab Cup final takes place on December 18 at the Lusail Stadium, the same venue that hosted the iconic 2022 World Cup final. Adil Halim, Euronews, Doha.
Imagine you hold a laser pointer, which is invisible to any adversary, but you see it because you have you know where you need to point, and you're measuring how you're pointing. So you're pointing it very precisely to the other party you want to communicate with, and that information cannot be monitored, cannot be intercepted, and cannot be jammed, because also the receiver itself is designed in a way that it also has a very narrow acceptance angle.
What we are able to do here is that we are also able to create a resection plan to simulate how the tumor can be cut out. This also allows us to calculate the volume of the liver and also the remnant and the resect. So what we have learned from the clinicians is that the real value is the spatial feeling and the understanding of the anatomical structures that you get from looking at it from different angles, being able to expand it, being able to cut into it with different tools.
current care is looking at big grey CT imaging, slice after slice after slice, and trying to piece it together. So you imagine 5 surgeons trying to plan a complicated case. They all have different opinions, different ways of thinking about it. Younger ones don't dare to say too much to the professor. So then you have this very unique opportunity to collaborate and look at the images and expand the images, go inside the images and actually plan better surgery. Where we've had cases where a surgeon has actually called back a patient who he had decided was inoperable, sent him home and said, we can't do anything for you, had taken our platform, and then he realized that actually he could operate. So he brought the case back in, and the man, as we followed, is alive and well with his children. The 3D models are put inside to help with navigation, and our ultimate goal, of course, is that a surgeon would have on a lens and be looking at the patient, so the hologram would be overlaid and fixed onto the body of a patient. So you imagine the liver, so that it was fixed, and you would operate in 3D through the hologram.